morning, everyone. I'm so privileged and honored to be here with you today. I'm coming to you live from Daytona Beach, right in our world headquarters here where the sport was founded over 70 years ago. And right behind me, this wall, is Daytona International Speedway, the World Center of Racing. It's been a thrill ride for me to be with the organization now for 21 plus seasons. And every year it's as exciting as it was the prior year. And we could not be as proud as we are now as we enter 2021 with our new season because of many, many accomplishments that we were able to get through through the pandemic. But even building into that, we had a lot of momentum, and we came into this year real strong. So I'm here, and I got this opportunity to speak to all of you. I wish I could have been in Georgia personally, but we'll have to deal with this virtual world that we all been living in for quite some time. I'd like to start. My theme is really around innovation. And how has innovation played a part in our industry and our sport over the last several years? And I've had that privilege to be able to lead a lot of that during that time with an incredible team and a lot of teammates to help me through that. But I wanted to first start a little bit about, the whole culture of innovation. How do you get to be a really innovative company? And sometimes when you get into a company, they're a little risk adverse and they don't want to change. And that was very similar to when I started here back in 2000. And it really took, it took a little bit of risk, it took a little bit of courage, but it really is about being a change agent in a way that is proven with results and, taking small steps first, working your way up the pathway to be able to really demonstrate that change can be a positive thing, can have a positive outcome. Certainly there's times when it doesn't have the outcome that we all predict, but it certainly does. So, from my experience, it really was important that, again, building key stakeholder relationships, finding those individuals that believed in you, again, taking those small steps. And then from there, it can really start to blossom. One of the things we did here at NASCAR several years ago was build a whole innovation program where we asked the entire company, in essence, crowdsourced within our own company, to come up with ideas, things that they thought that we could do to change. And it's not necessarily just what happens on the racetrack on a Sunday, but it also could be things that happen day to day in the office and how they operate. So we created a program where we actually recognize and reward individuals to come up with ideas and put those ideas into place and really make it a showcase for those individuals to really highlight how important change is to us and how we embrace it as a company and make them feel that they could be part of it and that they're not just here to do their day-to-day tasks, but they can be an influencer of change. So that was another success that we saw here at NASCAR several years ago. We continue to build on that culture and really, really realize, how important the entire organization is. But that's not the only source of innovation. Where else can you find it? One of the things for me personally was building a broader network outside of our industry into other sports. Because there's a lot of great things the NBA does, the NFL does, other leagues. And how can we learn from what they're doing? How did that application come and could play with us? But over the last couple of years, we've had the real honor of working with Comcast. Comcast has been a partner in our sport, the Xfinity Series, for many, many years now, and they continue to really see the value in our partnership. And one of the programs that they introduced, started last year in 2020, was what they call the Sports Accelerator Program, based in Atlanta. And they have a program there where they go out and they look at companies, innovative companies that are startups, incubators, and find those that are relevant to the sports industry. There's several peers that are a part of that accelerator. NBC Sports is part of it. US Ski is part of it. And what we do is we have access to early companies, early stage companies who have different technology or different innovative ideas to really then find ways to at least sample them and do some proof of concepts with them, mentor them, help them, build their businesses. And we've been doing that now for about a year and a half. And we've had incredible success finding a couple startups that we're working hand in hand with right now, which has been a great program. So if you look in your local communities, your state, look for those programs, those incubator programs. A lot of colleges have them out there and everything. And I think that's something you can really, use as an incredible resource for you to really find those new and creative, innovative ideas. And then lastly, as a technology leadership group, which I know most of you are, you're always at the forefront of innovation. That's, I've had the privilege of being in technology for several decades now, and I've always enjoyed it because everything is new and changing and fast. And as technology leaders, a lot of the organization does look at you and lean on you for, are you up to speed on what's going on in the world? How do you think about the world differently? What's going on? Embrace that opportunity. Be that person who is that change agent within your organization to really, really understand how you can make a difference and how your organizations can make a difference and how you can influence a positive outcome for your business. So I really encourage all of you to really, be that innovation leader for your organizations and think outside the box and think creatively. So wanted to kind of frame up, at least before we got into some specifics that we're doing here at NASCAR, kind of just my idea about how you think about change and how you think about innovation, things that have helped me be successful here at NASCAR. And hopefully that, some of these are things that you think about and that you can embrace and take forward. So let's talk about NASCAR a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about, what we've done to date, but also talk about what we have planned up in the near future, because there's been a lot of exciting things. And as we think about it, we are on a growth curve. We've invested in the business over the last 2 years to really look at it holistically and find ways that, we can really catapult our sport beyond what people thought about it for maybe the last 10 years. And how do we do that? How do we go about that? And we do that with research and insights. We go out and we ask our fans, we ask people who are not fans what they think about NASCAR and things like that. So it's relevant to really find those, those sources of information to help guide you a bit on it. We ask our stakeholders, our teams, our broadcast partners, everybody give us that insight to help us. But it starts with the fan. I mean, as a sports entertainment property, you don't have a great sport unless you have fans who are interested in the sport. That drives sponsorship sales, that drives interest from broadcast partners that want to put your product on TV. You got to have those fan insights. And we've had an incredible loyal fan base for years and years and years. But where's the future fan come from? Where are we going to get those from? And that's where innovation plays a big part. So as we embrace our loyal diehard fans, we also got to think differently and look at our business differently, find where we're going to be able to do that. And it starts with great content. It starts with, where do we find the fans? How do we market to them? What are our strategies? How do we reach them? Is it through digital channels? Is it through, more traditional media channels? We've done a lot of research to really figure that out. And another big thing that we really embraced, and we've had this culture before, but we really took it to another level this last year, is our diversity inclusion programs. How do we think about, areas, that people may not be interested in NASCAR or have a stereotype, a perception about what NASCAR is. I'm not sure if many of you heard last year, we had an incident in Talladega with one of our premier drivers, Bubba Wallace, and the industry rallied around that moment in time. And ever since then, we've embraced that, and we've really, really pushed the industry to say, we are a sport of inclusion. We want everybody to want to be a fan of our sport. So again, we think about our fans all the time because that's the centerpiece of who we are and how we're going to be successful as we build our sport and we grow for the future. Let me talk a little bit about our digital offerings. Digital has been an incredible, important piece to our ability to reach new fans, provide content, and we've really pushed the envelope on what kind of innovation and things we can do. It really is about an omni-channel viewing experience from NASCAR. It's not just what comes on TV, but how do we complement what's on TV through some digital offerings? And one of the exciting things that we've been working with for quite a while now is 360 camera views within the car. I mean, there's no more exciting and entertaining and incredible feeling from what that driver sees from within that car. So through our digital offerings, we do provide the ability for fans to get that 360 view and be able to see all the different perspectives that a driver sees going 200 miles an hour on Daytona International Speedway. I mean, you can't get a greater thrill than that. So that's been something that we've seen is really successful, and we continue to build upon that success. And I'll talk a little bit later about our future car and how that's going to be embodied in that. The other area is augmented reality. We've done several things around augmented reality, in particular with our sponsors, Coca-Cola being one of the sponsors, headquartered there in Atlanta, Georgia as well, where we've done some really cool, innovative ways with things with them with augmented reality to really embrace, our fans and have them try different ways of participating in our sport, which has been successful. And then lastly, we've done several other things that are unique to our sport that we can offer that, other sports unfortunately aren't able to do. data is an incredible piece of what comes off our cars. There's lots and lots of telemetry data, things that, again, you can get in real time through our digital platforms on NASCAR.com, which is an exciting way to really analyze, especially for those who are really more avid fans who really get into it and really want to understand a deeper, get a deeper view of it. One of the other exciting things that we're proud of that we've offered within the venues themselves when people are attending races is the ability to actually listen in between the pit crew, the spotters, and the driver, and the communication that goes back and forth between all of them. We actually offer that digital product through our NASCAR.com mobile and NASCAR.com websites, so that if you're at home watching a race and you're not there in person, you can actually dial up one of the drivers. You get Kyle Busch, for example, and you can listen to Kyle Busch communicating back and forth with his team throughout the race, what their strategies are, what they're thinking. When you compare that to other sports, you just don't get that. You don't get to hear what the coach is telling the quarterback in the NFL, or you don't know what the last 3-second game plan is in the NBA for that last shot, and what they're going to call. You get that insight with that kind of a product, and that really does set us apart and makes us unique from an access standpoint. That again is one of those great digital offerings that we have within our portfolio of digital offerings. So this is a quick synopsis of some of the things we've done on the digital side from an innovative side that we're really proud of. We're continuing planning, looking at what the future is, what are the latest technologies. We have great partnerships with a lot of different companies that help us in that area, and we're just always continually excited to build upon that success. Switching over to the actual venue experience, coming to one of our racetracks is unlike any other sport. It is a multi-day festival. It is not a show up for the kickoff and leave after the game's over. People come to our facilities over, typically a Thursday, Friday, all the way through a Sunday when the event finally concludes. They camp with us, they stay with us, they're in the community with us, staying at hotels and other locations. So we really strive to make that experience something that's fun, adventurous, and something that they want to come back year after year. Again, a lot of our locations, we're only there once or maybe twice a year. So again, it's important that we over exceed their expectations and deliver something that is really memorable. What's also unique about our properties is the scale, the size of them. They are incredibly large. We have actually a graphic that we show here at Daytona where we can fit 14 of the stadiums around the state of Florida within the infield of our track. And that includes football stadiums, basketball arenas, all that. Baseball stadiums can all fit within just the infield. That's how massive these properties are. So when we think about technology and how do we get that guest experience, it is a pretty lofty challenge. And so we've been embarking on several key investments to really light up our facilities from a connectivity standpoint. We announced a relationship with Verizon last year. They're our partner over the next several years to really invest in the future in Wi-Fi, set us up for 5G. How do we make sure that we provide the best-in-class service to our fans? Because one of the things that we like about our fans, because they are so loyal, they like to share their experiences. They like to, through social media, take pictures, show what's going on, how much fun they're having, and we want to promote that. We want them to continue to do that, and connectivity is a key part of that. So it's important that we make these investments in that as well. But we've also made other investments in just the properties themselves. We've spent millions of dollars over the last several years here at Daytona, at Talladega, Richmond, most recently Phoenix Raceway, where we totally revamped the entire experience at those properties, make them state of the art. There's so many new stadiums, so many new arenas being built, and we wanted to really elevate our experience to be more equivalent, and in some cases, they're going to exceed what those experiences are. We used to call them grandstands. We're not grandstands anymore. We are stadiums. We are building stadiums and building the amenities and all the feature functions that come with those stadiums. So we're excited about that. That gives us a lot of opportunity to engage with our fans, creates those moments, throughout the property where they're able to have fun with us and experience the race, not only on the track, but through all the other amenities that we service through those properties. And then lastly, we are looking at a redevelopment project out in Southern California. We call it Auto Club Speedway today. It's a 2-mile track. It's been there since 1997. And what we're hearing from our fans, getting back to what our fans want, they like short track racing. They like that physical aspect of short track racing and what makes that fun to, bump and what they call bump and run. And so we're working to look at taking that property and take it from 2 miles down to a half a mile, and then make it a totally state-of-the-art facility that's worthy of a championship race or any other major kind of event, not just for motorsports, but can we do other things at it as well? And we're looking at that down the road. And coming out of COVID, I think we've learned a lot of things too about what fans want and what that experience is, and how do we make sure it's safe and sound for all our fans. So that's something that in the coming years, hope you'll see more and hear more about that one. But we're very excited. I'll get a little more specific too about some of the things that we've done on the competition side. And one area that we spent a lot of time and money over the last several years is in our officiating. These are the guys, these are the refs that basically set the rules, and then they have to officiate those rules during the race. A lot of that starts with what we call the inspection of the car. We try to keep the cars within a certain specification so that, when they're out racing, that one team doesn't have more advantage of another. And we worked with a company that at the time called Hawkeye, who developed this officiating system that allowed for the cars to be scanned. In the past, we used to have like these templates, so there was a Ford template, there was a Chevy template, there was a Toyota template, and there was a lot of people that had to move these templates around the car from the top, the sides, the bottom. And it was a really laborious process, and it wasn't all the time 100% accurate. So what this technology is, a car drives into a tent, then it's surrounded by cameras and projectors. There's 17 cameras, 8 projectors that flash a lot of different lights and bars. And I'm going to show you a video shortly about what that looks like. And it creates what they call a point cloud. And that point cloud is basically a 3-dimensional view of that car based on that imagery that was shot at it. And then what it does is compares it to what the CAD drawing is to see what it should be in from a spec standpoint. And then it highlights where there's differences, so that within 30 seconds, you can actually tell how off or on the car is from that official, rule book standing. So I'm not going to talk any more about that. I think it'd be good right now to roll the video for you guys to kind of see that in person. And it really is an incredible and exciting. So turn it over to the producers here to give you a shot of that.
I think if you go So we want to incentivize teams to show up with cars that they know can get through the system. Any team, big or small, that wants to come down here and see where their car stands, we've offered that up free of charge. We've had well over 100 appointments in half-hour blocks that in the last 2 weeks have gone from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. without stop.
Well, I'm back. I hope you all saw that and saw how cool it is. We introduced that technology in 2019. And it's been something we don't really talk a lot about in the public, but it's just been an incredible innovation for our sport and really embraced by our teams and our competitors. And they really understand the value of it because it really does measure on an absolute basis. I want to talk something a little bit more about now our future and our growth strategies. And one in particular, or both of these are, but one in particular that's near and dear to my heart is esports. A couple of years ago, we've actually been in esports for quite some time, actually over 10 years. We've had a relationship with a company called iRacing, who creates a full simulation of a race car and racetrack experience, to the point where you can actually buy rigs that have movement back and forth. You can wear Oculus glasses, you get a 360 view. It is so realistic. I mean, it takes into consideration weather, it takes into consideration temperatures, it takes into consideration time of day, night racing versus day racing. It is down to an exact science as they perfected that system. And so that's been something that we've had for many, many years, but we really took it to a new level over the last couple of years. And so here we are last year in March, we're faced with the pandemic, and we have obligations with our broadcast partners to put on races, and we're dark. We don't have anything to put on because of the restrictions. So how can we still stay relevant? How can we still stay out there and be, in front of our fans, to make sure that they're entertained and they have something to do other than worry about the pandemic. And so we came up with this idea called the Pro Invitational System, which levered iRacing. And what we did is we got, several of our key drivers to participate, because a lot of them already have these iRacing rigs. And instead of running a regular race, and our first one was in Homestead last year, we actually ran a race through a virtual esports event using the iRacing product. Same kind of setup. We had stages, all the different rules that apply to a normal race still applied, but it was just in a virtual world. It was a huge, huge success. I mean, just to give you some idea, 6 of the 7 events that we held through the Pro Invitational Series last year, while we were filling that gap in time before we got back to racing, were the most watched on TV esports events in the history of all different esports events. So it really just shows you the tremendous value. I think one of the things for me personally that I was really thrilled to see come out of it was the entertainment value, because again, they weren't competing for points. This didn't count against the regular schedule or anything like that. It was more fun. So the drivers had fun with it too. They had their helmets off. They didn't have their fire suits on. People could actually see them. They had their families. As a matter of fact, Danny Hamlin one time had his daughter come in during the race. She accidentally unplugged the computer and it stopped him from racing. So it was really one of those engaging opportunities where our fans really thought really got a different view of our sport. And to the point where we had 7 million unique viewers of it over that time for those events, and 2 million of those never watched a NASCAR race prior to that. So here we are, we did find a new way to get fans. Like I talked about earlier, how do we reach out and embrace those new fans? So that's been something that has been exciting. It's been so exciting for us and the rest of the industry that they've actually now embraced that. And we have that now going forward this year. We have 10 races. And they're midweek races on Wednesday nights, mostly on Fox and FS1. And we compete at several of our racetracks. And what the really cool thing this year that we're going to do, which has never been done before, is we're actually going to race on the streets of downtown Chicago. NASCAR has never raced on a street course. And so we worked with the city of Chicago. We worked with our friends at iRacing and created this virtual course that is identical to what the streets of Chicago are. And that's going to happen in the July timeframe. So we're really excited because when you think about how this tool can help us in the future, if there's a place we want to do, or if we want to build a track like Auto Club, I was telling you, we now have this tool to create these tracks virtually first to see how they perform, how the drivers like them. We can actually emulate this all well in advance before we ever have to put millions of dollars in the ground to make it work. So we're excited about it. We continue to be excited about it. The reach has just been incredible for us. So before I talk about the next growth strategy, I think you'd really like to get some visibility into what it was and what we did last year, and you can see it firsthand. So we have just a short little video clip here that I'd like you all to see. So I'll turn it back to the producers.
A NASCAR All-Star race from the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway.
Really excited to go iRacing.
What do you think your odds are today? Poor, very poor.
Green flag, we're racing in Homestead.
All right, let me come back down. We're getting back
That's going by Jimmy Johnson. Oh, he's going to get into some...
I'm hanging on for dear life in this thing.
Watch the 9 car racing with Bubba Wallace.
Ooh, come on.
Wow, what a race on the final lap.
Past the 8, past the 8.
Winner is Hamlin.
Yes!
Woo!
Getting the win on the final lap. That's what it's all about, beating Dale Jr. there at the end.
I hope you all found that exciting. I did. You could see Denny Hamlin, the expression when he won that race, that first race. He was taking it serious. It was not a game. It was really serious. So really thrilled about our esports endeavors, and we're going to continue to build upon that excitement. One of the last growth strategies I'd like to talk about is our sports betting strategy. Back in 2019, when the Supreme Court allowed sports betting to be rolled out across the country, on a state-by-state basis, whatever states decided to embrace it, we took that very seriously. We thought, hey, we saw great engagement through fans in fantasy sports. This is just basically taking it to the next level of legalized sports betting, and we want to do it certainly within the aspects of highest integrity as possible. We want to make sure that, again, our competitors, the teams, all the pit crew, they all understand that they're responsible to make sure that they're not compromised and they do it. So we started with a whole integrity program first to really educate our industry on what sports betting was. And then over the last couple of years, we now formed partnerships with some of the bigger brands in the country, with BetMGM, with Penn Gaming, with WinBet up in Virginia. And this is an area that we really do believe we have a future to grow in. We're in discussions out in Arizona where it just recently got passed as well. So we're excited about sports betting because it really does allow a different level of engagement for our fans to really embrace our sport, be able to watch it throughout the entire race, because now we've been able to create different data points coming out of the race and create unique bet types that people can bet on and stay engaged with. Again, it's really about fun and engagement more than anything else, but it's something that we see as, again, as we think about our future fans and who we're trying to attract to the sport, these are the things that are of interest to them. And, we want to be at the forefront of that as well. All right, one last thing about the future I want to talk about is our next gen car. This is something that we've been working on for 2 years. We're going to launch it in 2022. We've been working very closely with our teams, with our drivers, with our manufacturers, Toyota, Chevy, Ford, and we're really excited about what that car is going to do for our sport. One of the simple things is it's going to really look like the showroom car. One of the things that we've been criticized over the years is that, the cars look a lot alike, other than some decals. Well, this car really is going to have the body style, those things that make it more relevant. Again, I think that's important. Again, keep the heritage and rich history of our sport where it is a quote unquote stock car. But from my aspect, what I think is really cool about is the innovation that's going to go around that car. From how much it's going to cost, how we're putting all the parts and pieces together. But more importantly for me, it's what's the digital, what audio, what video, what are the different camera angles that we can put into this car that we haven't thought about before? What data can we pull off the car? Is there an opportunity in the future to get biometric data from the drivers to see what their heart rates are and how they're performing against the rest of their competitors? So we're excited about the launch of that. As a matter of fact, next Tuesday, we're going to do the unveil for the cars up in Charlotte. Next Wednesday it is. So if you guys take a look out in the news and see what we're talking about here, but I think you'd be really blown away with some of the excitement that we're going to be announcing there. So that was really it for me today. Hopefully this was entertaining. Hopefully it was fun. And most importantly, I hope I got some NASCAR fans coming at it today that will watch the races, watch the virtual races, come sample us, when we get more fans back, because we were optimistic that, starting the summer and the fall, we're going to be able to do that. But I can't thank you enough. I can't thank TAG enough for offering me the ability to come out and speak to you. I get excited about it. Every time I get to talk about these things, it kind of reminds me about everything that we've done, but also what we got coming up in the future. So thanks again for your time and attention. Wish I could have been there in person with all of you, but enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm hoping it's as fruitful as it started.